Your concern around where we land up, yes. One thing is clear, we are likely to land up better than last year. Whether we meet the target that we had placed before that in dollar terms, looks like difficult to meet the target that we are left, but we will be in positive territory. In rupee terms, maybe we are near that because there has been a depreciation of rupee also which has happened. So in rupee terms, I think gross rupee terms, there is a growth in pharma exports also which is there. But in dollar terms, we'll be in positive territory. How much, as Chairman pointed out, I think we'll come to know of it by 20th, 22nd April in a more concrete terms. So it's better to wait for the numbers, have a look at it. Two, I think West Asia crisis definitely it does impact the energy supply chain, and concomitant with has there's some uh, impact is coming to pharma sectors in terms of some of the intermediates that are important, some of the solvents that they need for the pharma sector. Our supply chain is getting impacted. Government is completely engaged with all arms of the governments are engaged together to see how we can prioritize the limited supplies of LPG, and that is being resolved to the largest extent possible by even diversifying our imports by buying from other sources also. So as we are able to resolve that overall supply chain, we will try to alleviate some of the pain in every sector, and pharmaceutical will be one of the priority sectors also.
Was there any discussion about the China plus one strategy during the Shivir?
Chintan Shivir, I think, is going on right now. They will conclude it by afternoon. There are multiple ways, but I think it's more to focus upon how to make our supply chains resilient, both our export and import supply chains. As a pharma industry, we are also a good importer in terms of many intermediates and bulk drugs, and also we are a big exporter globally. So to be more resilient in current times is the best way to go forward. So I think the industry and the government together will be sitting and trying to figure out what can we do more to make our supply chains more resilient, whether it's an export supply chain, whether it's an import supply chain. I think both these aspects will be discussed in detail. Thank you.
So my name is Rishika Sadam. I'm a journalist with Reuters. You've talked about how there's crisis in the solvent and intermediate kind of area, and those companies have been repeatedly talking to the government about this. Given the current situation, how does the next few months look like? There are also reports about could this lead to a potential shortage? Could this lead to a potential supply shortage to pharma companies? Those kind of discussions. But if you could give us a picture on where exactly we are on that.
I think actual numbers the industry will be able to touch upon, but my sense is, see, there is a stress in the supply chain. That is something an agreed position. How much is the stress? How much we are getting impacted? Because as we go more longer in this stress, then only this pain is felt. Because initial days are met through inventories and things like that. So, but having said that, from government perspective, we are trying to ease out this supply chain as much as possible. We are completely cognizant of the challenges that the industry is facing, and beyond the whatever LPG supplies the government is able to source in through various diverse sources, we are looking at how best to support the LPG requirement in this sector also, so that some of their requirement in terms of solvents are addressed. So industry and government is working very closely, and I see it may not be able to run the entire supply chain the way it was running in the past, but we will definitely be able to elevate it in a manner that the supplies of essential drugs are not impacted.
Sure. Quick follow-up, sir. How about the import of key solvents, say ammonia and all of them, for which we largely rely on the.
I think the import diversification is always a good option, and that's why you see government came out with a host of import duties cut 2 days back, and that is a strong signal to the market that wherever we are finding the domestic supply chains getting strained, we should also look at import options to see that temporarily can we meet those gaps through possible imports. Having said that, international trade itself is getting impacted in these areas, but on the margins there are multiple other geographies where these consignments may be available. So that's why we have opened up these options for the industry too.
Sir, possible to list out which geographies are those?
Wherever you will find natural gas or LPG supplies coming from, those are the supply chains because Middle East is one of the key source of LPG, but there are other areas also which supplies it. So we'll need to look at those supply chains.
Is it possible to quantify the exact hit?
Pardon me if there are a lot of people
Yeah,
here.
just
So if we
wanted
can
to-
restrict
Yeah,
one question to one person.
but people have asked multiple questions.
but then
So
let's-
just, is it possible to quantify the total impact, like by how much are the, imports of these critical,
I think it will be
intermediates
very
down? Yeah.
too early to guesstimate and come to an actual figure because the numbers on a gross sector
Percentage.
level are also not available right now. For the month of March has been impacted, so we'll have more insight into those numbers 15-20 days down the line, and then maybe we'll have a commodity level number which will give us insight into how much it is getting. One, I think, one thing, the 232 tariffs in pharmaceutical sectors by United States, right now our prima facie understanding is since the generics are exempted, Indian industry or Indian exports to US will not be largely impacted. On the margins, if there are certain innovative drugs which are getting impacted, I am happy to share that we are engaged with United States towards a trade framework trade agreement, and that agreement is under negotiations. In case there is any challenge that our industry is facing in any segment, we'll be very happy to bring that also on the table as a part of the framework team.
One question, sir.
Again, sir,
Given-
please, there are other people also.
Just one question, sir, related to this. Given the fact that the industry is facing multiple challenges now and we are not clear about the evolving situation, is government thinking in terms of providing some fiscal support to the industry? Is there a call from the industry for that, as in some way you can support them?
But right now, I don't see a call from the industry on the fiscal support part. It's more on the supply chains that they are looking at, because pharma is not one sector where actually our export supply chains, the price, more than price, it is, I think, the availability and the exports which are important for our buyers. So that is something which has not come to the table as of now. And it depends on how long this crisis carries on. Next.
Sir, I am Mallikarjun Reddy, Chief Reporter from Sakshi. So, US remains the largest market for us. With potential trade policy shifts under the new US administration, how is the government planning to diversify exports to Europe, Latin America, Africa and emerging markets like Middle East?
See, as a country, we have been focusing on new markets, new products to diversify our export supply chains and bring more resilience to it. Two, you must have noticed in last 5 years, 6 years, we have done 9 FTAs, which touch around 38 economies. And these economies, you leave aside the United States, they touch more than $30 trillion of the economy size. So it's a huge market that we are opening up and trying to have a more engaged trade relationship with those economies. We believe these FTAs, once they are all operationalized, this will open up new opportunities for our exporters also. This will help them diversify markets. This will help them have more deeper exports on some of these markets. And this will also enable a lot of growth for our domestic industry, creating jobs back home. Thank you.
Sir, are we currently using Chabahar for trade?
I think every day Government of India, different ministries are briefing media centrally at Delhi. Some of these questions, I think, through your media channels, if they are, because this is something our port colleagues in the port ministry will be very clearly. My information will be hearsay, and I will not like to touch upon that.
राजेश जी, सुरेखा डीडी न्यूज़ से मेरा सवाल ये था कि यहाँ पर कुछ देर पहले जब बात कर रहे थे मंच पर, तो आपने कहा था कि वॉल्यूम के साथ साथ वैल्यू की भी बात होनी चाहिए, और जाहिर तौर पर प्राइस की भी अगर हम बात करते हैं आम आदमी के लिए, तो इंडियन मार्केट की जब आप बात कर रहे हैं, तो क्या इस चिंतन शिविर के जरिए हो या फिर जो टारगेट्स रखे गए हैं उसमें क्या निकलकर सामने आ सकता है, और खासकर अभी जो हालात है उससे कितना ज़्यादा इफेक्ट होगा, आप जो भी आगे का फ्यूचर का देख रहे हैं उसमें कितना आपको लगता है कि कहीं ना कहीं पीछे छूट सकते हैं?
चिंतन शिविर जो आज यहाँ पर आयोजित किया जा रहा है, उसमें आई थिंक दिस करंट क्राइसिस इज अ temporary one. Right now it has emerged over last 5 to 6 weeks. So this is not the immediate area on which इसके भी जो रिपरकशंस है वो जरूर डिस्कस होंगे, पर लार्जर जो एक विजन है फार्मास्यूटिकल इंडस्ट्री के लिए कि अब हम एक बड़ी इंडस्ट्री हैं और ग्लोबली जैसे हम वॉल्यूम के लिए जाने आते हैं, अफोर्डेबल प्राइसिंग के लिए जाने जाते हैं, कैसे हम क्वालिटी के लिए जाने जाएं और क्वालिटी प्रपोजिशन से कैसे हम एक वैल्यू बेस्ड इंडस्ट्री की ओर आगे बढ़ें, बिकॉज दैट विल गिव अस स्ट्रेंथ इन द लॉन्ग रन। तो उस पर चर्चा की जाएगी, बिकॉज इंडियन इंडस्ट्री नाउ आर ग्रेजुअली ग्रोइंग इन मल्टीपल एरियाज। द इंडस्ट्री ऑफ टुडे इज नॉट द इंडस्ट्री ऑफ 10 years back. It is a much developed, much forward looking and a much more robust industry. So definitely आगे का रास्ता कैसे तय हो, क्योंकि फार्मा क्षेत्र में भी नए प्रयोग आ रहे हैं, नए इनोवेशंस आ रहे हैं, नए ड्रग्स आ रहे हैं, बायोलॉजिक्स की बात हो रही है, बायोसिमिलर्स की बात हो रही है। तो हमारी इंडस्ट्री कैसे इन अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ को भी साथ साथ इसमें भागीदारी, जो हमारी भागीदारी अभी तक जेनरिक्स में रही है, वो भागीदारी बाकी क्षेत्र में भी कैसे बढ़े और हम लोग वहाँ भी लीडर्स हों, इस पे चर्चा की जा रही, ताकि हम लोग की जो ये लीडरशिप है इस क्षेत्र में कम ना हो, बल्कि और सुदृढ़ होती चली जाए।
There are many people, please pardon us to give them an opportunity as well.
Anybody wants to ask,
Thank
they
you.
can ask.
No, everybody is saying they can ask. Go ahead.
We need to get an overall.
Sir, as a
perspective,
Commerce
sir.
Secretary, tell us,
Yeah.
what is the overall impact of trade in terms of exports and imports vis-a-vis targets for the
See,
for FY26?
See, targets are kept to nudge the industry, to nudge our ecosystem to move towards a broad ballpark. But all of us understand trade is not a one-way traffic. Trade, exports, or whether it's export or import, it depends on whole lot of things, especially the external environment. I can export only when there is somebody else to buy it, isn't it? So there are a whole lot of externalities which impact the trade, and we are completely cognizant of it. Having said that, we do keep targets to see that we are on the right trajectory, because growth is something which will give energy to our industry. Growth is something which will help them grow and look big and think big. So we keep on towards it. I think my sense is we don't have numbers. We'll, I think, come up with the data for the entire financial year by the 15th of this month. But we have been moving on a positive territory. Our exports in merchandise exports have been growing. Our services exports have been doing well. And we hope to end the year in a positive territory. What those numbers will be, we'll come to know on 15th. Last 1 month, because of the Middle East crisis, there will definitely be an impact on both imports and exports. We'll be able to buy less because energy is a major part of our import basket. So we'll be able to buy less in terms of volumes. But since the prices have gone up, the value will go up. Similarly, we'll be able to export less because Middle East is also an important market. We export around 12 to 13% of our exports goes to Middle East. So that will directly gets impacted. So it will also impact our export. And if it goes on for long, maybe our exports to other parts of the world also gets impacted, because some of the value chains will get impacted. So we are cognizant of it. We are trying to see that the supply chains get minimum impact as far as possible. But we are ready with some numbers going down as far as export and import both is concerned. And I assume it will be not only a one-way traffic in terms of export going down, it will also be import also having some downward impact.
Sir, आप ये value की जब value को when you are replying on the value, you mentioned that the crisis is temporary. What is the sense we are getting, sir, in terms of?
See, my sense of saying crisis, because it is emerged 5 weeks back. So we don't know. None of us can put how long it is going to. Its impact will also go on for, even if the crisis and the war ends, there will going to be the impact of this war which will be there for next few months or years also, depending on which supply chain or which infrastructure has been impacted how much. So at this juncture, it will be very difficult to take a very long-term view on it. But I think, as I told, Chintan Shivir will discuss the long-term vision for the sector. This is one of the challenges that we need to factor in our long-term vision, because this kind of externalities, unknown events can keep on happening. We had COVID 5 years back, we didn't plan for it. But then we reacted to it, we adapted to it, and we are able to navigate it. So these kind of externalities will keep on coming, and we need to provide for in any planning or any vision that we do have.
Just to add on his statement, actually PLI came to us at the very right time actually. Post-COVID, 2020, the idea was same that we should become self-reliant to combat these external challenges which may keep on coming. And now what we are realizing is, though certain key starting material we are completely self-reliant, but to manufacture that starting material or to create an API out of that starting material, we also need certain solvents. So otherwise, if solvent would have been also a part of PLI, then I think we would have been manufacturing continuously and we have been right now at the best position. But large part of our pharmaceutical supply chain due to PLI is still intact. The only part which is impacting us right now is the solvent part. But if you talk about pharmaceutical key starting material, we are quite well placed into this. We have taken the confirmation from all PLI winners how much they got impacted, and all of the PLI winners said that they are having quantities, inventories, and they can serve the domestic market at least. So that is a very positive sign and it's a right initiative taken at the right time.